Hey everybody, Kyle Goethe here from GoatFilmReviews.com and the Goat Film Reviews YouTube channel, and it's time to talk about my movie haul for June of 2024. That's right, we're going to actually get this done on time. People are going to see this earlier than a month or two later whenever I get time to, because I've got some cool things that I added to my collection, and let's talk about them together. So we'll make quick work of what I've acquired here this month and go through them bit by bit and figure them out. So, first of all, Kung Fu Panda 4. I've got the first three Kung Fu Panda films. In fact, I finally watched 2 and 3 in preparation for 4 as it was coming out. I was aware of the movies. I thought the first one was fine, but I heard how 2 and 3 got really well put together action and just they became kind of films like the How to Train Your Dragon films, where they kind of elevated themselves beyond what you would consider like family fare into something more artistic. The fourth one I actually think is a return to form for the series in that it kind of downsizes a lot of the side characters and brings in one new one and basically allows Poe a single adventure to go on with them. I quite like this fourth installment in Kung Fu Panda. I don't know that it's a franchise that needs to keep going, because I hear now there's rumors of a 5th and 6th film, but I liked Kung Fu Panda 4 way more than I expected to. All right. Up next, I finally added Wonka to my collection. This was one of the movies that I felt I needed to see last year. I was going through some stuff, and I went to the press screening for Wonka, and when I was done with it, it didn't take away the pain that I felt, didn't take away the sadness that was inside of me. But I felt like somewhat rejuvenated, somewhat back to my old self for even 2 hours, which is, something that when you're really stressing, when you're really not feeling yourself, 2 hours of being able to escape that is a really powerful thing, and Wonka did that for me. I really liked Timothée Chalamet in the lead role. I thought a number of the side characters were exciting and fun to watch. I loved Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa. That was one of those things we should have put down on our future board, and we didn't, but thank God Paul King did. The villains are fun and quirky. I loved a lot of Wonka. It doesn't hit every single thing. It's not the bona fide classic that Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is, but I'll probably watch these two movies back to back a lot. So I quite enjoyed Wonka. Movie I didn't enjoy, I'm not really sure why I have it other than just to complete a collection, is The Exorcist Believer. I don't know why I need to add movies that I don't think are great to my collection, but when I have the other Exorcist films and The Exorcist Believer is inexpensive, I felt the need to add this to my collection. I don't like this movie. It's not that I hate it, I just thought it was okay. It's fine. It could have been better, it should have been better, and I'm not entirely against the idea of Mike Flanagan coming in and making a different Exorcist film, although I do think I would have liked to have seen what was going to happen in the second and third installment of this supposed trilogy, because there's some interesting ideas at play. I just don't know that they're fully executed all that well in this first installment, and I'm not sure they would have gotten better, but there's some interesting stuff there. I like the demon possessing 2 people at the same time. I liked the ideas of how exorcism is something that kind of goes beyond one religion into all the religions. It's just not executed very well. All right. Last of the 4Ks, pretty standard, but I upgraded the Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2 to 4K. I have the first film on 4K. I have the newest film, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, on 4K. I'm just kind of slowly putting that back into a 4K series for me. I've never been a giant fan of the third book, Mockingjay. I think that Mockingjay Part 2, it's kind of on the level of the first one. I think this is a case where they didn't need to be 2 movies. I said that before the first film before the first Mockingjay came out, that I don't really think they needed to be 2. They felt way too drawn out. I don't think there was enough going on. But for what's there, it's fine. Unfortunately, that's kind of how, like, the Hunger Games, they hit just like the books. They had that first one good, second one great, third one not so great, and by definition fourth one. And then you have Ballads of Songbirds and Snakes, that I think there's a lot of great in the movie. I just don't know that it's, generally speaking, a great movie. So that's kind of the franchise in a nutshell. We're going to get that new installment next year with the 6th film or something like that about Haymitch when he was in the Hunger Games. Not inherently a bad idea, but I wonder what they're going to do to kind of, unless it's just another Hunger Games movie. Because I feel like that was the hook, is that the first one was the Hunger Games movie, and everything after that was another Hunger Games plus this. Like, What are they going to do next? That's what I want to know. Up next, kind of the surprise of last year for horror fans, Megan. Megan's a weird movie because it kind of does a lot of what the Child's Play remake did, but I think it does it a lot better. The movie is fun. It's quirky. It's weird. It's ludicrous that any studio would give anyone money to make this, and yet Universal, they do their thing, and they went for it, and I appreciate that because Megan is goofy, weird, quirky, odd, strange, and I kind of want to see what's going to happen next. They actually just announced Soulmate with the A in Soulmate being an 8. Soulmate. Yeah. They announced that, which is about, I think, like a pleasure model that goes crazy. Give me more of these weird movies and make them as weird as you possibly can. Go off the deep end, because none of us are here for the realism. Let's just let that be known. This one didn't work for a lot of people last year, but I thought it was quite good. The Last Voyage of the Demeter. It's a little too long. We know where it's going to end. And it kind of has a wash, rinse, repeat to certain elements of it. But it's exactly what I thought this movie was going to be. If you've been following me on this channel for any amount of time, I've been talking about The Last Voyage of the Demeter for literal years, like going back years before this movie came out, about what this movie was going to entail. I'm really thankful the movie actually got finished being made, because I think it was a pretty delightful little Dracula film, and I love that we're able to take Dracula, take this universal monster, and twist him into another story. I appreciated that about Renfield last year as well. I didn't love Renfield, but I like the idea of we're going to take Dracula and throw it through a dryer session and try to see what tumbles out at the end of it. So, all right. Up next here we have Five Nights at Freddy's. I always like to have some good gateway horror in my collection, because I do have a lot of younger people who like watching kind of horror stuff but don't like any of the intensity that I grew up with. Five Nights at Freddy's feels like that to me. The wife and I, we played one of the games a few times. I like the game quite a bit. We just haven't played a lot of it. And I enjoyed the movie for what it was. It was exactly what I expected it to be. I think there's some stumbling that takes place in the execution of the film. I do think it would have benefited from an R rating, and I do think that they have a nice setup in place to make a better follow-up than the original. But all things considered, I enjoyed Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm kind of going to go like completely opposite here. So I got this from Criterion, 3 films by Mai Zetterling. I do not actually know anything about this filmmaker. I just buy Criterion box sets because I have faith in the company that they'll give me something interesting to view. So I am really excited for this, to check out the Swedish actor turned director Mai Zetterling, who is a feminist pioneer in cinema. Hey, I'm all for it. This has 3 films: Loving Couples, Night Games, and The Girls. Never seen any of them, don't know anything about them, but I like Criterion box sets. They put a lot of work into them, and you know what? Next month is July when they do the half-off sale at Barnes & Noble. I'll probably have a few of those to show off next month as well. Let's just be real. So that's a taste. What is it? Aperitif? A beginning of what we're going to see next month with the Criterion sale. But we'll end it off with one of the DVDs I added to my collection, because this movie doesn't have a Blu-ray or a 4K release. And this DVD, I'm not even really sure if it's a real one. This is Planet of the Dinosaurs on DVD. Let me explain a little bit about this before we end here, because this is kind of a unique thing. Planet of the Dinosaurs was an early film that I got in my physical media collection. If I remember correctly, I think it was the 3rd movie I ever bought, which is a weird feeling. I know it was post Little Shop of Horrors, the 80s one. But whenever we drive through Grand Forks, North Dakota, which was the big city, when you're living in a town of 8,000 people, we would stop by, was it Suncoast? I think it was a Suncoast that they had at their mall. God, I miss Suncoast. Everything is way too overpriced, but you could really find some stuff. And I had gotten Little Shop of Horrors there. And I'd gotten another film previously there as well. These were VHS tapes. I'm just showing my age a little bit there. VHS tapes of these films. And one of them was Planet of the Dinosaurs. I assumed it was kind of like a Jurassic Park level film, but this is like a 70s B movie. Directed by James K. Shea. I think it was done in the 70s. It definitely feels and looks like it was done in the 70s. I got it and I watched it. And I don't know that I liked the movie, but I definitely watched it a lot. So there has to be something to be said about that. And I haven't seen this movie in 25 plus years, at least 25 years. And so I thought, you know what? I had forgotten what it was called for one thing. But then I had looked up enough information to feel like I'm pretty sure this is the one. I'm 95% certain it was Planet of the Dinosaurs. So I thought, you know what? It's $6. Let's go on a nostalgic trip together. So that's what I did. I picked up Planet of the Dinosaurs, and it's in my collection. And I'm not ashamed of it. I've got plenty worse movies that I knew were bad when I bought them. This one might still be fun for me. And at the very least, it'll be a trip down memory lane, much in the same way that watching Terrorvision for the first time in 20 years did the same thing for me. Much in the way of that book collection that I showed off here a couple months ago. Like, really, it affected me on an emotional level to like be revisiting these things that made me who I am. I am a movie nerd. I'm a horror nerd. I'm a genre film nerd. And movies like Planet of the Dinosaurs. Movies like Terrorvision. Books, like those horror books I showed, they made me who I am. And so being able to revisit those things is, I think, a really fun and powerful experience. So that's the movie I ended up putting on my list this month, ordering and getting in. I've already got some stuff I've ordered for next month coming in, so whatever, it's going to keep going. But thank you for joining me for June 2024's movie haul. It's actually surprisingly low because we are only covering one month. We made this surprisingly quick. But I've got a lot of other things on my plate, a lot of the great things going on the channel right now. We're still doing the Acolyte episode reviews. I have not caught the 5th one yet, so I'm sorry, but I'm going to have that out. We can check out all the first reactions that are coming up. I'm seeing a lot of films right now. I've actually, coming into halfway through the year, I've seen at least 20% more movies than I saw last year at this time. So, I mean, it's going to end up being a barn burner of a year. I'm pretty excited to see what we end up with at the end of it. You can check out my furthering adventures of my physical media collection. I'm going through everything I own on physical media from A to Z. You can check out that over there as well. A few of these might pop up in there. Who knows? They're part of the collection now. So that's what's going on the channel right now. You can also check out goatfilmreviews.com for my many written reviews. You can find Goat Film Reviews on Facebook. You can follow me personally at Almighty Goatman on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, and Threads. And you can find my show Kyle and Nick on Film that I co-host with Nick Plotachuk from the St. Paul Filmcast. We have notes of that show every single week. So go ahead and check all those links down in the description. I'm also got a link for the Minnesota Film Critics Alliance, of which I'm a member. We've got critics' reviews down there as well as mine. Thank you for joining me. Make sure to like and subscribe. There are 2 free things you can do that help to support the channel immensely. You know, if you can't give cash to support the channel, if you're enjoying the content here, like and subscribe. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.